You all right? Thanks so much. Hey, Warren, how are you? You all right? Oh, yeah. Hi. Hello. Hello, everybody. Thanks very much. Thank you very much. Thanks very much. Can I tell you, it's really wonderful to be here, not only to support my good friend Colin Eldridge as your next outstanding MP for Liverpool Wavertree, but also to be, a bit more of that, absolutely. But also to be here with Warren and so many other friends and colleagues to support their work, their ongoing work that Liberal Democrats have brought to Liverpool, a city that years ago was taken for granted by Labour, but turned to the Liberal Democrats and has seen, we've all, I think, seen for ourselves here in Liverpool, what a great, great team we've got in Warren and his councillors in the City Hall, and the absolute dedication to you and to everything that makes this great city so very, very great. So I'm really, really delighted to be here. And I'm here, of course, and I'm here, of course, 48 hours before the election. This very exciting election campaign is finally going to come to its conclusion. 48 hours in which all of you and all of your families and the communities that you live in will be able to change Britain for good. And I want to talk about one value that I think is more important than anything else, that I cherish more than anything else, which I think is at stake in this election campaign, and that is fairness. And I say that because there simply is not enough fairness in Britain today. Who would have thought that after 13 years of Labour, we should have the worst recession in a generation, 1 million young people out of work, desperate to find a job, 1 in 3 11-year-olds leaving school, still not being able to read or write properly, 8,000 infants in class sizes they're so big they're technically illegal, schools where a young child who might be bright but poor is overtaken in the classroom by the age of 7 by a less bright child who so happens to come from a wealthier background. A Britain where the gap of life expectancy, of how long you could expect to live, is still determined by the circumstances of your birth, where a child in the city where I'm an MP in Sheffield, born in the poorest neighbourhood, will on average die a decade and a half before a child born in the wealthiest neighbourhood up the road. A Britain where a multimillionaire from the City of London pays a lower rate of tax on their capital gains than their cleaner does on their wages. A decade where manufacturing has declined even more sharply under Labour than it did under Margaret Thatcher. That is why we need more fairness. That is why we need a new politics. That is why we need a new government. That's why we can't afford as a country, as a community, to carry on doing the same old thing with the same old politicians, making the same old promises, breaking the same old promises, letting you and your families down. So I say we've got 48 hours to do something different, to do something new. And I commit to you that the Liberal Democrats, with your support, will deliver 4 great changes, 4 steps to a fairer Britain. First, a fairer tax system where you don't pay any tax on the first £10,000 you earn, £700 back in the pockets of the average taxpayer in this country by closing the loopholes at the top. Secondly, I dwelt on education a bit earlier because I think education is everything. I don't think the dreams, the aspirations, the hopes, the potential of any child can be fulfilled without a first-class education system, and that is what we are pledged to deliver. £2.5 billion extra money going into our schools from cuts and savings elsewhere to deliver smaller class sizes, more one-to-one tuition, so every single child, no matter what the circumstances of their birth, gets the education and the support that they deserve. You're not going to get that from the Conservatives. As the Institute of Fiscal Studies concluded last week, because the Conservatives are not protecting education spending, they will have to cut the Education Department's budget by about 22%. That's £29 billion, which they will have to take out of our school system. Money out of the Building for Schools programme, money out of our schools to deliver, which is needed to deliver the smaller class sizes to make our country fair. Third, a new approach to the economy. Never again can we allow ourselves to be held hostage by a small clique of financiers in the City of London whose greed displaced the wider interests of our whole community. Never again. Only the Liberal Democrats will split up the banks and force them to pay the money which they should be lending to good, viable British businesses here in Liverpool and elsewhere. After all, it's your money. About £1 trillion has gone from your pockets, the taxpayers' pockets, to the banks, and they're now hoarding that money instead of lending it. And if they don't lend the money, it's like a body without blood circulating in it. Nothing happens, and we won't get the jobs that you deserve and need. And fourth and finally, clean, decent, open politics once again, so that you can trust politics, that people will look at Westminster with pride and not with contempt and disgust, a politics where you can sack your MP if your MP is shown to be corrupt, a politics where the people who make the laws of the land in the House of Lords are there accountable to you. Cleaning up the murky business of party funding, making sure every single one of your votes counts. Not the arrogance of the politics of Labour and Conservative governments, where for generations they have thought it's their birthright to govern this country, even though 20 to 30% and no more of you have voted for them in the first place. I want a politics where politicians have to listen to you all the time. Not just come to you at election time and then ignore you the rest. Because you know, this country is yours. The government should be accountable to you. I am fed up with the old politics where two cliques in the Labour and the Conservative parties think it's their birthright to play past the parcel with your government, as if you've got nothing to do with it, as if you've got no say. We had David Cameron measuring up the curtains for number 10 yesterday, and Labour politicians today telling people how they should vote. Peter Hain and Ed Balls telling people what they should vote against, not what they should vote for. I want you to vote with your heart, with your best instincts, for the future you want, for the future you want for yourself, for your families, for Liverpool, for the communities you live in and you love. That is what I want. It is a positive vision. It is a vision of a fairer, better Britain, and it is within our grasp. 48 hours to go. But together we can deliver the better, fairer Britain we all dream of. Thank you very much indeed.